Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show on this Tuesday night, the 21st of December, 2021. The Joe and Joe Weather Show is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, on Long Island, and servicing the New York City tri-state area and beyond with everything you need to get you through this winter, whether it's rock salt or the name brand snow ice melt products like Pelleto and Mag Ice Pellets and Flakes, and just about anything else you need with regards to snow blowers, shovels, spreaders. You can find them all at Omni True Value Hardware. Again, they're at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. The phone number there is 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. So as we get this day underway, Mr. Rayo, you've been preaching on to several libraries today, so I'm sure you're just in a glorious mood tonight.
Actually, I only did one, Joe. Tomorrow's the day when I do several.
Oh, that's right. Tomorrow's the one, because there's no show tomorrow, folks.
Right.
There's nothing going on, and I could use the day off anyway. I'm a little tired tonight, but I'm actually feeling a bit better. They took me off one of my antibiotics because they said I didn't need it anymore, so that's a plus. And they gave me some Nexium to kind of keep, because I was bringing up all this bile stuff and it was causing me to vomit. Well, that's now stopped too. So all I am thinking about tonight is going into bed and having a good night's sleep. So that's where my head is at tonight.
Well, thank you for the information.
Well, it is what it is. What do you want me to do? I'm not. I can't make it. I can't color it and make it sound like a, like it's they're the June Taylor dancers, for God's sake.
Right. I understand.
I
understand. All right. So anyway, we've got ourselves a continuation of quiet weather. Although, I've been hearing a lot of talk about there may be some ice, some freezing rain tonight, and I'm kind of scratching my head because, I've looked at some of the maps and it doesn't seem like it's going to be all that big a deal. Have a bit of precipitation up in my area for maybe a few short hours in the after midnight hours, probably be over with by daybreak, and it doesn't look like really anything that there might be a few pellets of ice mixed in, but I really don't see it to be anything that would be overly worrisome. But maybe you have a different
no. I'm kind of on the same page with this. Boston, for example, so they have up. I'll bring up the map on the screen here so we can take a look at this. So Boston actually has winter weather advisories up for northwestern Connecticut, the northwesternmost part of northwestern Connecticut. So we're talking about basically northern Litchfield County, and they've got advisories across Massachusetts, and it is for some ice accretion. But I'm kind of with you on this. It's I don't know. It's one of these situations where you've got this low that's offshore. There's not a whole lot of wind. I just pulled up the Boston temperature, for example, and they're sitting at 37. So this is what they did. I'll bring up the Boston. Now, be careful when whenever you look at these anticipated snowfall forecast maps or the ice forecasts or whatever it is. Now, why did this happen? Whatever map it is that you're looking at, make sure you check the timestamp, because for a moment there today, I was looking at Boston's, on their snow probability page. So what comes up is the snowfall forecast map, and I looked at this, and they got, they have 1 to 2 inches across Northern Connecticut, basically north of 84, and less than an inch in northern Rhode Island. Excuse me, and less than an inch up in Boston, 2 to 3 in the southern half of Mass, mainly south of I-90, and then north of I-90, the numbers go up. And I looked at this as like, where is this from? And then I checked the timestamp, and this is actually the forecast period. Now this even doesn't make any sense. This is an old. This was wind up being an old map, is what it was. So they've left up this old map that says, December 18th through December 19th. So this was back for the weekend. I originally thought I saw a map that had that it was for the events that are coming up over the next several days, because one of them is probably going to put down a little bit of some accumulating snow over the weekend. But again, remember to check the timestamps. Now they do have. Now even here, they didn't. Why didn't they update these? I don't get it. I thought these were updated maps. Now all of a sudden they're not. On their forecast, they got winter weather advisory. And they're talking about slippery travel conditions, untreated surfaces, so a little bit of icing. So they had an ice accretion map, but why they have, again, this is why here it is. This is supposed to be the right one. So yeah, so this is what Boston did here. So they got ice accretion here. This is correct. So this is through 1 p.m. tomorrow. So you can see they have a little bit of ice accretion north and west of Hartford, up 91. Into Massachusetts, and then also further north up I-90, they've got a little bit of ice accretion. I'm with you, Joe. I can't. I don't think this is a big deal. I know sometimes you get these glazing events that wind up being more problematic. Than something that's a bit more, but I'm not seeing it with this.
Well, sometimes the very slight amount of ice on the roadways is the one that really does you in. In fact, one of the worst situation. I was heading out at 4 o'clock in the morning, and my driveway there really wasn't all that much, but it was glistening, and I learned a lesson that morning, because I spun out not once, but I think 3 times. Once on the Northern State Parkway. So you have to be very careful. But it really does not look like, to me, a scenario tonight where you have to be too worried about any kind of freezing precipitation. Although Renata just mentioned here at the home base it's 31, so it's one degree below freezing.
See, sometimes the more rural you are, puts you a little more at risk at a situation like this, because there's no wind, so the temperature can kind of settle down to about 31, 32. And then, if you put down a couple of hundredths of liquid precip, or even just some drizzle, you wind up with a bit of a skating rink. So I suppose you have to watch out for that possibility.
Yeah, but it's only, as I said, going to last for a few hours. And tomorrow afternoon, the sun will be back out, and it looks like temperatures may reach the mid and upper 40s tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but also the winds are going to be a factor. The winds will be picking up too. It'll be rather gusty during tomorrow afternoon, and then another cool down or chill down, with the temperatures dropping back to around 40 probably by Thursday.
By the way, here's the U.S. satellite loop and low pressure. They did have some severe weather today across parts of Central and South Florida, with one EF1 tornado reported, I think, outside of Orlando. But meanwhile, you can see the low center is a little blow up there of some convection east of the North Carolina coast, and moving on up to the northeast. So we're kind of on the edge of this. The coast, I think, winds up getting grazed with a little bit of precip. And just looking at the radar, for example, there's some precip aloft that's broken out over southeastern PA, across central New Jersey to about New York City, back down into Maryland. The stuff that's actually reaching the ground is in southeastern Virginia, eastern North Carolina, and offshore, and even some leftover precip down in parts of South Carolina and southern Georgia. So that's all moving away. This system is not phasing with anything up in the northern stream. We talked about how the models were, back a week or so ago, were trying to phase it, and that would have brought down some significant cold air for the end of the week. Well, that's not happening. And there's more action, by the way, coming into the west. We've got very heavy rains moving into California, very heavy snows in the Sierra Nevadas, and also rain and heavy snow moving up the Cascade. And this is because of the fact that the trough remains where, Joe? Where is the trough? Where is the trough, Joe?
It's out west.
And where is the trough? Where is the trough staying, Joe?
Why are you asking me these questions?
I think the answers are obvious. The answers are pretty obvious, don't you think?
Yes.
Okay, you know what? I got to run and get a glass of water. So I just put up the probability of at least 2 inches. I'll make it more exciting. This is for the west, so let's put up the probability of at least 8. And over the next 72 hours, it'll take me 20 seconds to get a thing of water. So I'll be right back.
And so while Joe gets his water, let's point out, and I pointed this out last night, that it's nice to see that for the folks who live out west, which suffered so badly this summer with the lack of any precipitation, a severe drought situation, that over recent days and weeks, they have been getting hammered by one Pacific storm after another. This latest storm will bring maybe as much as 8 or 10 feet of snow to the high terrain mountains of the Sierras in California.
Yes, so I'm back now. Keep going.
And also in the Cascades, they're going to be getting a heavy amount of snow as well. So all of this is beneficial. We don't know when this is going to get shut off. I know that the winter forecast had suggested that the dry conditions were going to continue out west into the winter season, but certainly right now that does not look like to be the case in the immediate future. So the longer this takes, the longer this continues, the better and more beneficial it will be for the folks out west. We shall see.
By the way, I switched it off to the probability of at least 18. That's not too shabby to see probabilities up in the 70 to 80% range in parts of the Sierra Nevadas of at least 18. And also moving up into the Sierra Nevadas, you're seeing into the Cascades, and out of the Sierra Nevadas up into the Cascades, you're seeing some big numbers for the probability of at least 18. Now, granted, a lot of these areas that are getting snow are not necessarily easily accessible by the average human being, but nonetheless, they are part of what is going on out there. And if that's going to be the case now, I'm going to bring up the European model from today. And there's 2 things I want everybody to kind of pay attention to in all of this. One is the fact that starting, I'm going to move it up. I've got it to 24. You can see there's some troughing in the east with the first system that is moving out. That lifts up to the northeast. You've got the block that's trying to build over the Davis Strait, but unfortunately, you also have this deep trough in the west, and now we're at 120 hours. Okay, now this is Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Now let's go from 120 to 240 for the 5 days that follow. So it takes us all through next week. And what you're going to look at, just watch the west, okay? Just watch the west, and you'll notice that trough goes absolutely nowhere, okay, in 5 days. I mean, this is, and this is, by the way, during a stretch next week where we've got the PNA just absolutely off the wall. So to see a trough not move for 5 days is unusual. And this is what we have. And if this is the case, by the way, Joe, next week, I got to think that we're going to see some really big snows in parts of the west, and particularly into the northwest and in the mountains, with the trough as deep as this is.
I would agree. I would agree. And as I said, we don't know how long. We don't know how long this pattern is going to persist, because again, the long-range guidance for the winter forecast had suggested that dry conditions, the continuation of the drought out west was going to persist into the wintertime. I distinctly remember reading the summation or the narrative discussion saying, we're sorry to say that it looks like this dry spell or this spell of unusual drought will continue in places that suffered during the summertime. But obviously, what we're seeing, what we have seen, and what we're seeing now for the coming days ahead does not suggest that it looks like there's going to be more storms and more significant precipitation. So, the longer this lasts, the more, as I said, beneficial it will be for the folks in the western United States. Although, if you live out in California, you know that it's never midway, it's never middle ground. Either you go through a horrendous spell of dry weather and drought, or when you have precipitation, that precipitation is excessive, more than what you need in any one sitting. And that's apparently what is happening each time one of these storms from the Pacific comes crashing into the Pacific coast. They're getting quite a bit of rainfall, more than what they need. A lot of runoff, probably, Joe, and that doesn't help. But again, certainly better than not getting anything at all.
Yeah, the only slightly positive thing that I would get out of this European run today was the fact that at least toward the end of the forecast period, from starting at about 168 hours and going into 240, that Pacific Ridge, that very strong Pacific Ridge south of the Aleutians, weakens. And you need to get that Western Trough out of the way, so something's got to come along and kick it in. That so you want to see that ridge at least get flattened out, and maybe that's the only positive takeaway that I would take from this. I didn't really get, I was looking at the GFS long range, and I really didn't have. I mean, look at the ridge in the east, but for God's sake, the next Friday on the European. I mean, it's just insane. And on the GFS today, in terms of the long range, I really didn't get a good feeling here. I mean, the trough in the west actually drives back southward after today 10. So now we're into the beginning of January. And of course, as it's been the case for the last couple of weeks, you start to see things change around days, 13, 14, 15, and 16, and it never pushes much beyond that. So I don't have any confidence. Obviously, you're going to need the pattern to change in order to produce something for winter weather lovers. But I don't have any confidence in the longer range, these longer range forecasts on the models. A few people have said to me, stop looking at the operational, look at the ensembles. So we'll bring up the ensembles so I can show you how god awful the ensembles look, because they do look god awful. I mean, you still have a trough. This is at hour 384 on the ensembles, it's got a flat ridge in the west, but it still takes the better part of the first 13 excuse me, the better part of the first 13 for 14 days to where that trough is just there in the west. It's going nowhere. And think about the fact also, by the way, in the guidance that we've been looking at over the last couple of weeks, how it was showing, the trough coming into the east, the ridge in the west, the blocking that was showing up. I mean, I was never particularly enamored with what was being shown, and I made that well known. But the ensembles have been a disaster. So so you're not going to gain any wisdom from those. So in the meantime, Joe, I think the only thing that you have, the only chance you have, and we're seeing this on on the GFS for Thursday night into Friday morning, which I will bring up right now, is a system that breaks out of that western trough. Some energy gets ejected eastward, and if you're gonna be in a situation over the next couple of weeks where if the only way you can get anything out of something like this is if something breaks through the ridge and you get a little bit of cold air that comes down from the north. That's the only way you're going to do it, and they got to time each other perfectly. So that's it. I'm sorry about the cough tonight. I switched meds, so hopefully this is this is not going to persist over the next couple of days. But anyhow, there's your low moving out tonight. Weather conditions improve tomorrow. Here's that little disturbance I'm talking about for Thursday night into Friday morning that has a little bit of snow up from northeastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, over to you, over into southern New England. And that just goes away. It's very weak. And then we get a break. And then here comes another fast moving system, only this time it's warmer ahead of it. So you got to go further north to see maybe some snow on the northern fringe. Then that goes out. And then a stronger low heads up into the western lakes. So you can look forward to a Christmas day with temperatures that are going to probably try to get into the 50s with a warm front going by. And you see it there. It's all rain. And then the low translates off the New England coast. So maybe central and northern New England and upstate New York, north of I-90, wind up getting some snow on Christmas Day in the evening hours into early the next morning on Sunday. And then looking at next week, there's a couple of more of these fast-moving systems. One gets suppressed, one stays pretty weak, and on and on and on it goes. So
I will say for Christmas, evening, let's say 7 p.m. on Saturday, that we have a small storm. I guess you can call it an Alberta clipper that will be in the vicinity of Erie, Pennsylvania, the northwest corner of Pennsylvania. And then as the night progresses, that thing sort of laterals its energy to a second system that's way offshore. That's because the upper trough never becomes negative. It's still positive to neutral as it's passing over the tri-state area. And you say to yourself, my goodness, if that thing was maybe a few hundred miles further to the west, and the trough kind of tilted more negatively, that we could possibly on Sunday morning find ourselves with a system that's south of Long Island, and maybe with colder air filtering in from the north, might possibly see a changeover to maybe a brief period of decent looking snow, even for the New York City area and Long Island. But it doesn't seem like it's going to work out that way, again, because the placement of the systems is just a little bit too far to the east. Things don't really start winding up until they're well offshore. And
right.
the only thing it looks like we're going to get out of that is a flow of blustery and cold northerly winds later on Sunday into Sunday night, as that system again intensifies well to the east of our area. So much too late to do anything for snow lovers here. So the only cheap thrill, I guess, Joe, is what you were talking about for some, not all, come late Saturday night and into late Friday night into early Saturday with maybe a few flakes, and that looks like it's going to be about it.
If the trough in the west were a little less deep, it could have made a difference. But the teleconnection measurements with the PNA, the Pacific North America pattern, it's 2 standard deviations from the mean. It's a pretty strong negative reading, and there's not enough of a negative NAO to compensate for that. So there's no real cold air. At best, you could say that maybe there's some marginal cold air, but that really is about it. And I think Timothy Veltman has it correct, because he says they're one step away from pulling out the GMA, the JMA, and the LFM in order to try to get something to happen.
Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs right now, but Winter only began this morning at 10:58, so we've got a whole 90 days of astronomical winter ahead of us, and we have a whole 60 days of meteorological winter ahead of us. So let's just see what can happen and what we'll get out of this. Right now, it looks like a kind of a sad situation for everyone who really wants. And I was thinking back to the winter of 66, 65, 66. No, excuse me, 66, 67. We had a big snowstorm that hit on Christmas Eve that year, and there was like 18 inches of snow in Arkansas. We, Christmas morning, had like 6 inches of snow in the tri-state area. I mean, some places east of the Mississippi had low temperatures of sub-zero readings, and that was a good old-fashioned winter. That was a good old-fashioned Christmas. It looks like it's not going to happen though this year.
Right. Okay. Do you have Briller Jeopardy tonight?
Yes, I do.
Oh, very good. And in the meantime, just want to acknowledge Izzy D hitting the super chat tip jar. Thank you, Izzy. Most appreciated as always. So have at it.
Let me just pick it up here. Boy, this don't sound too good, does it, Joe?
What's that? The cough?
You don't sound too good.
Yeah, I'm a little tired. When I get tired, right now with what I have, I tend to get, like my mouth tends to get dry, and I also just took my latest dose of the antibiotics, which dehydrates me. So
Yes.
hang on one second here. I got the chat board back. I lost it there for 1 second. Okay, so let's do this.
So here we go. This is another Christmas Briller Jeopardy before Christmas, and the category for you tonight, Joe. What percentage do the following 10 cities have of a white Christmas? I guess this is averaged out based upon long-term records, and you have to get within 15%.
Okay. Credit. Well, is it snow is it snow falling on that day or snow on the ground?
I think it's snow on the ground. He doesn't specify, but I think you'd have to have snow on the ground.
Okay, go ahead.
So, number one, Mary Tyler Moore's favorite city, Minneapolis.
I'm going to say for Minneapolis, I'm going to say 70%.
You're within 4, which places you right in line to 74. 74%. Now we're going to go down your ways, Joe. How about Atlanta, Georgia? What is the percentage chance for a white Christmas down in Atlanta?
Oh, I would say probably 2%.
Well, guess what? It's only 1%.
1%. Okay. I wanted to give it a little bit more of a chance than just 1.
Yes.
Although, by the way, last year here where I am in Northeast Georgia, we had a half a foot of snow Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, so they had a white Christmas here.
I remember that.
And I remember that. I was told it looked like a picture postcard. Anyway, go ahead. Next.
Buffalo.
Buffalo, I'm going to say, the lake effect is always a problem over there. Because either they get a lot of it, or the wind's in the wrong direction, they get shut out. I'll say 65.
Let's see, 15. Yeah, you're within range of the 15%. 53%.
Okay.
Now, how about the Windy City, Chicago?
Chicago. I'm going to say for Chicago, I will say, I'll say 33%.
Wow, 35%. You're hot. You're like a hot as a firecracker tonight. So how about Philadelphia, Joe?
Philadelphia. I'm going to say Philadelphia probably 10%.
Oh my God, 9%. It's too bad you're not. This isn't The Price is Right.
Yes. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Right. Spin that wheel.
Skier,
Spin that
Yeah.
wheel. Yeah, exactly. La, la, dee, doo, lee, la, dee, doo, lee, la, dee, doo, lee, la. Okay.
How about Central Park?
I'm going to say for New York City, probably it used to be like 20 or in the low 20s. I'll move it down because of what all the stuff over the last few years. So I'll say 18.
No, still not bad. Within 5, 13%. Here's the next one, number 7, Pittsburgh.
Ooh, Pittsburgh's kind of tough, Pittsburgh's so tough.
It's a steel city.
Yeah, I'll say 25.
Within 6, 31.
Excuse me.
All right. How about Seattle?
Oh, I'm going to say 8.
Well, we'll have that. 4.
4.
And how about number 9, the Columbia District, the District of Columbia, D.C.?
Oh, Lord. I mean, it's probably like 6.
Same as Seattle, 4.
4.
4%.
Okay.
And funny thing, Mr. Briller for number 10, originally he wrote on the list Antarctica, and then he wrote correction, number 10 should be Anchorage, not Antarctica. So what is Anchorage, Alaska?
Anchorage, I'll say 95.
96%.
There you go.
Joe, you
I had a hot
showed
hand.
off well tonight.
Definitely had a hot hand tonight. And
Yes,
Bill Uber hitting super chat tonight, wishing us both a Merry Christmas. And yes, I plan to try to get well for the new year. I do actually feel better today since they took me off that one antibiotic. I do seem to feel a little better. So what I actually need is another as a good night's sleep, which I got last night. And I'm going to get now as we say goodnight to everybody. So thanks for the super chat hits tonight from Izzy D and Bill Uber. Thanks everybody for being here. There'll be no show tomorrow night, and we'll be back on Thursday. And then we're going to be off Friday and Saturday, and we'll probably be back Sunday morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time.
And by the way, we'll be back on Thursday at the regular time, 7:30.
Correct. So Thursday at 7:30 and Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Maybe we'll have better news for the long range folks, for you snow lovers, maybe not. But for now, it is what it is. So everybody have a great night. Stay safe, and we will see you on Thursday. Night, everybody.
Bye-bye, folks.